when you look at the blue sky, you see the beauty of the sky. And do you have to make a special effort in order to enjoy it? That is the hard question. And that is the question of the practice also, because is the practice hard? Do we have to make a lot of efforts in order to practice? To us who have gone through 4 days of practice, we think that practicing is a very pleasant thing. And each second of the practice, each minute of the practice should be a second of joy, a minute of joy. Do you have to practice enjoying the blue sky? No, I guess not. You just enjoy it. This morning, during some questions and answer period, I said something like this: life is full of suffering, but it is also full of wonderful things like the blue sky, the sunshine, the eyes of a baby, and that to suffer is not enough. We should be in touch with the wonder of life. It is all around us, anytime and anywhere. We don't need to go to China in order to enjoy the blue sky. We don't have to travel into the future in order to enjoy the air we are breathing here. So please be in touch with the wonderful aspects of life, because it would be a pity if we are only in touch with the suffering. You know as well as I do that in Theravada Buddhism, we stress more on the aspect of the pain, suffering. And in Mahayana, we stress more on the aspect of the wonderness of life. Look at the Arhats and then the Bodhisattvas. The Bodhisattvas are very beautifully dressed, smiling all the time. Today I have asked all the children to dress beautifully in order to be Bodhisattvas. And the other day, during a Dharma talk, children were sitting in front of me, and there was a boy whose name is Tim, smiling beautifully. And I said, Tim, you have a very beautiful smile. And he said, thank you. I said, no, you don't have to thank me. I have to thank you because of your smile, you make life more beautiful. So instead of saying thank you, you should say, you are welcome. And then in the last 2 days, children have been smiling a lot. And when I look at them, they say, you are welcome. So, you know that a tree, if a tree is a tree, and then that is about all what a tree can do. If a tree is not a tree, and then life is not life, we cannot profit from the tree. the fact that a tree is a tree is very important for us. We profit a lot from the being of a tree. Therefore, one person should be a person. If one person is a real person, living happily like a tree, smiling, then all of us, all the world will profit from a person. A person doesn't have to do a lot in order to save the world. A person has to be a person, and then that is the base of peace. If a child smiles, if an adult smiles, that is very important. Because if in our daily life we can smile, we can be peaceful, happy, not only we profit from that, but the members of the family will profit from it. Living peacefully, joyfully, smiling is blooming like a flower, and everyone in the family will profit from it. The world around us will profit from it, and that is the basic kind of peace work. Therefore, when I see Tim smiling, I was so happy. And if he is aware of the fact that he's making other people happy, he can say, "You are welcome." Therefore, to be in touch with the wonderful things in the world, to be able to smile, to be able to enjoy the blue sky, the sunshine, the presence of each other, I think that is the first thing you have to practice. And that kind of practice does not need a particular effort. Just to be aware of the presence of these wonderful things. We have been practicing smiling, not only during walking meditation, during the time in the kitchen cutting carrots, but also while we sit. Sitting at Zendo and smiling, that would be a very revolutionary act. At first, some of us find it very hard to smile. Really hard to smile. And we have to think as how it's so difficult to smile. Smiling means that you are yourself, that you have sovereignty over yourself, that you are not drowned into forgetfulness, and that kind of smile can be seen on the face of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So I would like to ask you all not to be observers here or spectators, but to be actors. Let us smile and enjoy our breathing while we go on. There is a gatha for us to breathe and to smile. I would like to share with you because we have been practicing that for 4 days. Breathing in, I calm my body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. And I actually smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know that it is the only moment. I would like to say something about these 4 lines. Breathing in, I calm body and mind. And this I do. I not just reciting the line. I practice. It's like when you drink a glass of ice water, you feel the cold, the freshness permeates the body, your own body. So when I breathe in, I feel the breathing calming my body, calming my mind, and I feel like a glass of orange juice just pressed from fresh orange. I put it on the table, and the small particles of the orange slowly go down to the bottom and settle. So when I breathe in, I see clearly that the breathing calms my mind and my body. And when I breathe out, I smile. You know the effect of the smile. The smile can relax hundreds of muscles on your face and relax your nervous system and make you master of yourself. That is why the Buddha and Bodhisattvas always smiling. Smiling. If you smile, you see the wonder of the smile. Dwelling in the present moment. So I sit here. I don't think of elsewhere in the future or the past. I sit here and I'm aware that I'm sitting here. This is very important. Because we tend to be alive in the future, not now. We say that wait until I finish school and get my PhD degree, and then I'll be really alive. Then when you got it, and it's not easy to get, and then you say to yourself, I have to wait until I have a job in order to be really alive. And then after the job, a house. After the house, a car. And we are not capable of being alive in the present moment. And we tend to postpone being alive to the future, to a distant future. We don't know when. Now is not the moment to be alive. And we may not be alive at all in all our life. Therefore, the technique, if we have to speak of technique, is to be in the present moment, to be aware that I'm here and now. And the only moment for me to be alive is the present moment. So the time you are with me here now is not to listen to a lecture, but to be in the present moment. Listening to a lecture is not an important thing, but to be here and now and enjoy the present moment is the most important thing. Dwelling in the present moment, I know that this is the only moment. Well, the present moment is the only moment that is real, is the present moment. And we should not demonstrate to ourselves that we are capable of being alive in the present moment. And I would like you to practice that gatha now with the bell, because there is no way for us to share with you our practice except practicing together 1 minute. I would like to repeat the gatha. Breathing in, I calm body and mind. If you don't remember, you just remember one word, calming. Breathing in, calming. Calming body and mind. Breathing out, smiling. Smiling. Real smile. You smile to yourself and not to anyone else. Dwelling in the present moment. You have to dwell really in the present moment. Be here and now. Be your own true self. Don't jump into the future. Don't jump into the past. It's wonderful this morning. It is wonderful that we sit here, able to breathe and to smile. And if we cannot enjoy the moment, if we cannot be happy now, when? When shall we be happy? Dwelling in the present moment, I know that this is the only moment. So we become alert. Should I repeat? Calming, smiling, present moment, only moment. Okay? I shall invite the bell. And when you hear the bell, you let all the air in your lungs out first. Because we all always have some air left in the lungs. And then you begin to breathe in, calming, smiling, present moment, only moment. Shall we do together? I know that it's difficult to smile. I think life is hard. But we have to actually smile. You don't smile very much. Shall we try once more, please? Should do better than that. We begin by wishing each other good morning, So it should be a very real good morning. Better this time, but still not enough. I think we shall do it another time a little later. Now I would like to share with you the practice of the bell. Because during this lecture, from time to time there will be a bell. Who is the bell master? Where is the bell master? Do you have the bell with you? The bell master not having a bell with her. Can you manage to get the bell? Every 15 minutes we have a sound of the bell. And the bell master is to take care of the bell in the most mindful way. She will have to stand in front of the bell and breathe 3 times in and out in that way. Breathing in, I calm body and mind. Breathing out, I smile. Dwelling in the present moment, I know this is the only moment. And then she recite a gatha. The gatha is like this. body, speech and mind in perfect oneness, I am sending my heart along with the sound of the bell. May the hearers awaken from forgetfulness and transcend all anxiety and sorrow. So the bell inviter is very mindful and concentrated before she invites the bell to sound. All of us who are bell hearers, we have to respond in kind. We stop all our thinking and talking. Even if we are giving a Dharma talk, we should stop also. Because nothing is more important than being aware. We practice breathing and we recite the Gatha, listen, listen, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true self. Listen, listen, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true self. And we enjoy that practice very much. So we would like to share with you a few sounds during this lecture. Stop thinking, smiling, breathing, and saying unto yourself, listen, listen, this wonderful sound bring me back to my true self. I practice it in Vietnamese, so I don't read it so well. Listen, listen, this wonderful sound brings me back to my true self. Shall we try? And we should be able to enjoy the bell, because the bell is made for that. The sound of the bell is like the call, the voice of the Buddha, calling us back to our true self. And not a Buddha outside of yourself, your own Buddha nature. Shall we try once more? Listen, listen. This wonderful sound brings me back to my true self. And breathing. So please, during your sitting here in this place, do not be observers. Please enjoy your breathing, your smiling. That is more important than the talking that I am giving to you. During the retreat, one friend asked this hard question. How can I smile when I am full of sorrow? It's like a forcing myself to smile that is not natural. Maybe some of you in this audience think the same. I have answered the question like this. You should be able to smile to your sorrow, because you are more than your sorrow. A human being is like a television set with millions of channels. If you turn the Buddha on, you are the Buddha. If you turn the sorrow on, you are the sorrow. If you turn the smile on, you are the smile. And so on. Don't let one channel dominate you all the time. You have the seed of everything in you. Therefore, we have to seize the situation in our hands, to recover our own sovereignty. When we sit down like this, peacefully, breathe and smile, we are our true self. We have sovereignty over ourselves. When we open ourselves up to a TV program, we let ourselves to be invaded by a TV program. Sometimes the program is good, but many times the program is just very noisy. And because of the fact that we don't like us, don't want to be with us, want to get away from us, so we want to have something in order to be in us, something other than us to be in us. So we sit there and let the very bad program, TV program, to assail us, to destroy us, to invade us. Even if we suffer, our nervous system suffer, we have no courage to stand up and to turn the TV off. Because if we do so, we have to go back to our self. But the sound of the bell is doing the opposite. It helps you to go back to your true self. And therefore, practicing in this kind of civilization is a very hard thing to do. Everything seems to concord with each other in order to take away your true self. When you are so busy, but when you have some time, you cannot stand it. You have to pick up one book to read. Telling yourself that you have to educate yourself more. That's a good reason. To pick up the telephone. You don't mind that the telephone bill will be too high. You turn the TV on, and you have a million of other things like videotapes, to music in order to help you to be away from yourself. Practicing meditation to be aware, to listen to the bell, to smile, to breathe. Well, all these things are on the opposite side. We want to go back to ourselves in order to see what is going on. Because to meditate means to be aware of what is going on. What is going on is very important. But I would like to go back to the smile. This morning I met with a young lady who is expecting a child. The child will have to wait for 4 more weeks in order to come out. And I told the young mother, please breathe and smile for him or her. And I really meant it. Because you don't need to wait until the baby is born in order to take care of him or her. You take care of him or her right now, or even sooner. What if that lady tell you that she cannot smile? This is not the case, but this is only a supposition. What if the lady cannot smile? It's very serious. What if the young lady cannot breathe, cannot smile, cannot enjoy the blue sky? That's very serious. She cannot say that, I'm too sorrowful, smiling is just not the correct thing to do. Maybe crying or shouting would be the correct thing to do. But your baby will get it all. Anything you are, anything you do, your baby get it all. Even if the baby is not there in your womb, the seed of the baby is already there. So those of you who are still unmarried, you should be aware that the baby is already there somehow. Don't wait until the doctors tell you that you have a baby, that you begin to take care of it. Well, it is already there. And whatever you are and whatever you do, well, your baby will get it. So anything you eat, anything you do, any worries that is on your mind, it will be for the baby, so be aware. Can you tell me that you cannot smile? No. Think of the baby. You smile for him, for her, for the future generation. So don't tell me that it just not go together, the smile and my sorrow. Your sorrow, but how about your baby? It's not his sorrow, it's not her sorrow, it's your sorrow. But you have a baby, so you should be responsible. So smile. And then I would like to go a little bit deeper. There is a baby Buddha in every one of us. As Buddhists, you believe the Buddha, that everyone has Buddha nature, and everyone is a Buddha to be. Therefore, there is a baby Buddha in yourself, and you would not be very polite and kind to that baby Buddha if you suppress him or her with all the weight of your sorrow and anxiety. You don't give that baby Buddha a chance to be. For the channel 4 of the television, you give it a chance. You turn the knob and it comes. But for your Buddha, you may be more unkind than you are with the TV set. You don't let the Buddha to be, the Buddha baby to be. So when you tell me that you just cannot smile, well, you want to deny the chance for the Buddha in you. It's very serious. We have the illusion that we are one. That if I am sorrow, I cannot be something else, which is wrong. It's like a TV set saying that, well, I can only be channel 5. I cannot be else, something else. And a human being, what a marvel it is. The children in this retreat understand very well that in each man, in each woman, there is a capacity of waking up, of understanding and of loving. And they told me that they cannot show me someone who doesn't have that kind of capacity. The only thing is that there are people who allow that capacity to develop, and there are those who do allow that capacity to develop. So that capacity of waking up, being aware of what is going on in your feelings, in your body, in your perceptions in the world, and then you understand. You understand, therefore you can accept and you can love. And that kind of capacity is called by a very complicated word, Buddha nature. Buddha nature is the capacity of understanding and loving. And the baby of that Buddha is in every one of us, and we should give him or her a chance. Smiling, that is it. And I can tell you that if you are unable to smile, and then the world will not have peace. It's not going out for a demonstration against the nuclear missiles that you can get peace. Practicing meditation, practicing smiling, breathing, enjoying the blue sky, you will bring a new dimension to the peace movement. Because in the peace movement there is a lot of anger, frustration, misunderstanding. The peace movement can write very good protest letters, but is not able yet to write a love letter. To the Congress or to the President of the United States, a kind of letter that they will not put it in the trash can, a letter that they will like to read. Means the way you speak, the kind of understanding, the kind of language that does not turn people off. Because the President of America is people, is a person like any one of us. Can the peace movement talk in loving speech, showing the way for peace? I think that would depend on whether the people in the peace movement can be peace. Because without being peace, we cannot do anything for peace. If you cannot smile, and then you cannot help other people to smile. If you are not peaceful, and then you cannot contribute to the peace movement. We know that our situation is very dangerous. A nuclear war can happen at any moment. Practicing meditation is to practice awareness of what is going on. And therefore, if we are awake, if we know what is going on, and then we will do something, will be something and do something in order for the worst not to occur. We need people who understand, who are capable of being in touch with people. And we do not have many people like that. To reconcile the conflicting parties, we have to have the capacity of understanding the suffering of both sides. If we take side, and then it's impossible for us to do the work of reconciliation. And humans want to take side. And that is why the situation gets worse and worse. Are there people who are still available to both sides? That is our chance for peace. Are there people who are able to understand the sufferings being endured by both sides? These people do not need to do much. The only thing that they do, they need only to do one thing: to go to one side and telling all about the sufferings endured by the other side, and to go to the other side and tell about all the sufferings endured by this side. That alone can already change the situation. But how many of us are in that position? You know, during the war in Vietnam, there were Vietnamese who tried to do that. Not to take side. Try their best to be in touch with both sides. But that was a very dangerous thing to do and to be. This side and the other side think of you as a slave of this side. You would not be surprised to learn that one poem of mine was banned by the Saigon government and then denounced by the Hanoi radio. It happens all the time. Yesterday I promised people in the retreat to talk about the 7 practices of reconciliation as used during the last 2,500 years in Buddhist monasteries. I have them here. And this is to settle dispute within the circles of monks. But we might use it in our family, in our society, I think. The first method is face-to-face evidence. That means a kind of in a convocation of the whole Sangha, everyone sit like this, very mindful, breathing, smiling, with the willingness to help and not with the willingness to fight. This is a basic. And then the two conflicting monks will be present, and they know, they are aware of the fact that everyone in the community expects them to make peace. So before saying anything, that atmosphere should be expected, should be real already. And people refrain from listening to stories outside of the assembly, spreading news about this monk or other monks, commenting on the behavior of this monk or the other monk. That should be forbidden. Everything should be said in the community, face-to-face evidence. So the two monks are sitting facing each other like this, breathing, and how hard, smiling. So the members of the community would not accept any talking, any comment outside of the assembly. That would not help. Everything should be said in public, in community. Anything this monk want to say, he say publicly and to the other monk. The second method is remembrance. It's an English word. Remembrance. That both sides try to remember what happened during the whole history of the conflict. To recall every detail of the conflict, every detail of the life having to do with the conflict. And the whole assembly just sit very patiently to listen. And both of them were encouraged to do so. I remember that day it was rainy, and I went to the kitchen, and you were there telling as much as you can, recalling. This is quite important, because the monks are trying to mend the things in the past. Because the principle of a Sangha life is to be aware of what is going on every day. And if you are not aware of what is going on, well, one day things will break out, explode, and it would be too late to take care of it, to deal with it. So if we are in an assembly and there are two monks confronting each other like this, that means already the conflict has exploded into the open. So try to sit there and recall the details in the past. It's not the best thing to do, but it's the only thing to do now, as far as the past is concerned. A couple who get married and who live a neglectful life, who do not know what is going on really in their subconsciousness, their feelings, their perceptions. It means a couple just married who do not practice meditation. It is a dangerous situation because sometimes things are going on underneath, and sometimes it explodes, and it will be too late to deal with it, and then divorce or fighting or even killing each other. So to meditate is to be aware of what is going on in yourself, your feeling, your body, your perceptions, your family. So it's very important to any kind of life. So the second is to recall. And as the community has got as many of the details, it's become less difficult to help. The third principle is non-stubbornness. Stubbornness is an English word that I just invented. It means everyone in the community is expecting the two monks not to be stubborn. Try their best for reconciliation. The outcome is not important. The fact that each monk is doing his best in order to show the willingness of reconciliation and understanding, that's more important. So when you do your best, you try to be best in understanding and accepting. You don't have to worry about the outcome. You do your best and that's enough. The other person will do his or her best. And the atmosphere of the assembly is very important because expectation. Everyone expects the two monks to be like that. Otherwise, they would not recognize them as the brothers. And then thank you. And then this is very interesting. Covering the mud with the straw. You know, when you walk in Green Goat Farm after a rainy day, there's a lot of mud. You cannot go to the ocean. I tried that. I think if I had the straw to spread on the mud, I would be able to go. Each one high monk, respectable monk, understanding monk, is appointed to sponsor one monk, one side of the conflict. On the other side, another high monk, respectable monk, is also asked to sponsor the other monk. And then the whole assembly listened to these two senior monks. They will say things. They say things in order to de-escalate the feeling within the concerned people. And you know that in a Buddhist Sangha, at least in mine, people respect have a great respect for the high monks. We call them ancestral teachers. And they don't say very much, but anything they say is taken very seriously by the rest of the community. And they say something concerning this monk, and then what he say will cause the other monk to understand more and to de-escalate his feeling, his anger or his resistance. And then the other high monk also say things to protect this monk, but saying it in a way that the other monk feel better. And by doing so, by practicing so, they dissipate more and more the hard feeling in the heart of the two monks and cause them to accept a verdict proposed by the community. So we call it putting straw on mud. The mud is the dispute, the straw is the loving kindness of the Dharma. The next is the voluntary confession. Voluntary confession means that you try to tell your own shortcomings, not to let the other say. You have to say it first. If the other say, you feel different. And if you yourself say it, it's wonderful. So first you try to say your minor weakness. Maybe you have a big weakness. First you try to hide it, and you only tell other people of minor fault you commit. You know there is an art in all that. And as you make a concession that I'm sorry, that day I was not very mindful, I said such a thing, that's horrible, I'm sorry. Or even that is a very minor confession that helps the other to feel better. And then he is encouraged to confess something of the same kind. I'm thinking of the Soviet Union and the United States of America trying to de-escalate slowly the small things. And then that atmosphere is very encouraging, and everyone is expecting, supporting, so that the de-escalation will be realized throughout the meeting. And the Buddha nature in each monk has the opportunity to come out. And the oppression exercised on each monk by the anger or resentment would shift away in order for the capacity of understanding and mutual acceptance to be born. And then the old monks also say that, well, you are the community. The well-being of the community is above all, is the most important thing. Therefore, don't think only of your own feeling. Think of the well-being of the community, and then each monk will be ready to make a sacrifice and get ready to accept the kind of verdict or decision made by the community. And then the next is decision made by majority vote. this is made known in advance that the two monks will accept whatever verdict pronounced by the whole assembly. Otherwise, they have to, if they don't accept the decision made by the community, they have to go and live elsewhere. This is a real democracy. Therefore, everyone will, after exploring every details of the conflicts, after realizing the maximum of reconciliation, and then a committee would present a verdict, and then the way to pronounce it is like this: three asking. The head of community would read the decision and say like this: after meditation, after exploration, after discussion, after any effort, after all efforts have been made, it is suggested that this monk will do so and so, this monk will do so and so, this should be repaired this way, that should be repaired in that way. Would the assembly of monks accept this verdict? First asking. And then the community remains silent. That means okay. And then he will repeat exactly the same thing with the same words. Would the noble assembly accept this verdict? And then silence. And the third time, would the community accept this verdict? And then third time of silence. Then he pronounced it. The community of the noble community of monks and nuns have accepted the verdict. So please, both sides carry out the decision. And that is the end of the session. And there can be many sessions succeeding to each other in order to solve one case. If one of the two monks revolt against the verdict, his voice is of no value because he has already complied to the fact that he would obey any kind of verdict made by the assembly. So these 7 methods of settling dispute have been adopted by Buddhist monks and nuns in India, in China, in Vietnam, in Japan, in Korea, and in many other countries for more than 2,500 years. And I think we can learn something about this in order to apply it in our social life. Shall we practice the breathing once more before I begin? I continue. Calming, smiling, present moment, only moment. I think we can feel very happy while practicing breathing and smiling. And conditions are available. You can do it in a meditation hall. You can do it back home. You can do it in the Central Park, in the riverside, everywhere. And I suggest that in each home, we have a tiny room for breathing. It's like a zendo. Because we have one room for sleeping, one room for eating, one room for cooking, why don't we have one room for breathing? And breathing is very important. I suggest that that room is decorated in a very simple way, not too bright. You don't need to have a Buddha statue. Maybe one pot of flower will symbolize our true nature. I say that because many times I see Buddhas not representing very well relaxation, peace and happiness. Because those who make Buddha statues don't practice breathing, smiling. So be choosy when you ask a Buddha to come home. A Buddha should be smiling, happy, beautiful, for the sake of our children. If they look at the Buddha and if they feel refreshed, happy, and then that is not a good statue. Also the bell, it should got a good bell so that the sound of the bell can produce a good effect on us. So we need only one bell in that room, a few cushions. If the family has 5 members and then we have 5 cushions, and then we have a few for guests. From time to time, we would invite one guest to come and sit and breathe with us for 5 minutes or 3 minutes. I know of families where children, after breakfast, go into that room, sit down and breathe for 10 times. In, out, 1, in, out, 2, in, out, 3, 5 times, and they bow. And they go to school. This is very beautiful practice. Can you do that? Each morning, if you don't wish to breathe 10 times, how about 3 times? That's a good bargain. Yeah, that's a beautiful thing to do. Because before starting your school day, you invoke the Buddha to be in yourself. Beginning the day with being a Buddha is a very nice way of doing that. Will you? Yes, so if adults would like their children to do it, they should do it themselves. Starting the day with by being a Buddha. And in that way, we have the chance not being a Mara at the end of the day. After a day of hard work, we might become a Mara. Therefore, we should be careful, should be a Buddha in the morning, and trying to nourish the Buddha throughout the day. And how wonderful if you go home with a smile, the Buddha is still there. Mommy will be very glad if Daddy come home as a Buddha. So that room is important. It must be very clean. Only the cushions, one small table with a pot of flower. Children can arrange flowers in mindfulness, smiling. And then if you have a beautiful Buddha, put the Buddha on the altar. If you don't have a beautiful Buddha, wait. And have a flower instead. A flower is a Buddha. A flower has Buddha nature. And you know that your smile is on